Earlier in the year, we focused on ancient Near Eastern sources and the Hebrew Scriptures. Then we switched focus to the Greek legacy, including Roman sources. Now we'll look again to the Near East and the Levant to consider a historical period that overlaps and interacts with the Greeks and the Romans, Second Temple Judaism. During this same period, as we'll see, the documents of the New Testament, the portions of the Christian Bible not encompassed by the Hebrew Scriptures, were created. Our exploration of Second Temple Jewish sources, then, is both interesting in its own right and necessary context for our reading of the New Testament. Second Temple refers to the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. According to the Hebrew Scriptures, the first temple was completed under King Solomon. Solomon was the third king of Israel, son of the great King David. In the biblical tradition, he is renowned for his wisdom and for the extent and wealth of his kingdom. Traditionally, he is considered the author of most of the biblical book of Proverbs and the book of Ecclesiastes, which are part of the wisdom texts. Modern scholars have varying opinions about the sources and authorship of these texts. But he is also criticized in the biblical tradition for his excesses, including his liaisons with foreign wives and concubines who introduced foreign gods into Israel. In the biblical tradition, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. In addition, he's criticized in the Hebrew Scriptures, some scholars argue, for using slave or corvée labor to build the temple and other grand structures in Jerusalem. The first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar in 586 BCE. As we saw when we discussed the Hebrew Scriptures' prophetic literature, the destruction of the Jerusalem temple and the deportation of much of the population into exile in Babylon was a devastating event in the history of Israel. The establishment of exilic communities was part of the general Babylonian policy of conquest. It was an effort to integrate the conquered peoples and territories into the Babylonian Empire, to make them Babylonian. One of the challenges for the Jewish people during the period of exile was to maintain their unique cultural and religious identity, including their worship of what they understood to be the one true God. As a side note, the English word God derives from the Old English, and the Old English derives from Old German. When you see the word God in an English translation of the Hebrew Bible, it's usually translating the word Elohim, which is a general term for the divinity. When you see the word Lord in small caps, it is translating what we call the Tetragrammaton, the four Hebrew letters Yod, He, Vav, He, representing the proper name of God. For devout Jews, this name is so holy that it is unpronounceable. So when reading aloud in Hebrew, the term Adonai, another general term for Lord, is used. In 539 BCE, the Persian Empire, led by King Cyrus the Great, defeated the Babylonians and took the city of Babylon. The Persians had a different policy about subject peoples than the Babylonians. They allowed subject people to remain in their own territories under Persian administration. So, in 538 BCE, Cyrus allowed the Jewish exiles to return to Jerusalem. By about 516 BCE, the Jerusalem temple was rebuilt, the Second Temple. We call the period of Jewish history while the Second Temple was in operation the Second Temple period. It spans between 516 BCE and 70 CE, when the Second Temple was destroyed by the Roman general Titus during the First Jewish Revolt. This 446-year span encompassed a number of periods during which different external or internal parties exerted political control over Jerusalem, the surrounding area, and the Jewish population. These include the Persian, running from 583 to 333 BCE, the Hellenistic, which encompasses the Ptolemaic, 301 to 200 BCE, and the Seleucid, 200 to 164 BCE, the Hasmonean from 164 to 37 BCE, the Herodian from 37 BCE to 6 CE, and the Roman from 6 to 70 CE. During the Hasmonean period, the region was ruled semi-autonomously by Jewish rulers. During the Herodian period, the region was ruled by Jewish kings who were clients of Rome. The region continued to be ruled by Jewish Roman clients during the Roman period. There were many times of external and internal strife and military conflict during each of these periods. Jewish culture and religion were by no means monolithic across and during these periods. Different and often competing groups and interests existed in sometimes profound tension with each other. Indeed, the Hasmonean kingdom erupted in civil war from 93 to 87 BCE. These many different groups often held contrasting views about the degree to which Jewish culture should interact with the philosophies, literature, laws, and practices of the Persian, Greek, and Roman worlds.